Welcome to Kit Katastrophe. My name is Kit, and today we'll be taking a look at Transformers Siege Deluxe Class Refraktor. This figure came out in 2019 as part of Wave 3 of the Deluxe assortment. Given that Refraktor was sold as a standalone figure in the Siege mainline, he was forced to have his own singular alternate mode to justify being called a Transformer. With that in mind, the impressive designers at Hasbro decided Refraktor would turn into a sarcophagus. I kid, but that's what it looks like. Remember when I said that Soundwave had the second worst alternate mode? Well, here's the first prize. This is easily the most abstracted alternate mode I've seen from a Transformer in quite some time, taking my suspension of disbelief to its absolute limit, and still exceeding it by a good nautical mile. The designers wanted to pass this off as a quote-unquote artillery hovercraft, but I'm not having it. This thing is not airworthy. If you want to be real forgiving, you could pass this off as a recon satellite, which fits this character's function well enough. Regardless, that's reaching, no matter which explanation you come up with. If you haven't noticed by now, once you block out the accessories bolted onto this pathetic frame, you'll be happy to realize that the alternate mode is just the robot mode lying onto its back. Stock straight, no effort. Fuck. Well, considering how lazy the alternate mode was, the transformation is obviously piss easy. All you have to do is flip his arms into position and fiddle with the lower half a bit. It's one of those boring milquetoast conversion schemes that bores me to tears. The literal only thing that has even a sliver of fun is the 180-degree waist rotation. I am overjoyed to bring you these tidings that tell that the robot mode is decent. Well, it better be after that weak opening. It's a fairly squat little robot doing a fair job of replicating his original Generation 1 look. But that being said, it's terribly boring. The only thing that sets him apart from most of his fellow Decepticons is his gummy shade of lavender, which tries its hardest not to look boring next to all this dull gray. Even the green chest panel is muted in tone. The sculpt work does its best to liven things up, but ultimately can't carry this figure. At least the head sculpt is nice, all thin and gaunt with the pronounced cheekbones and the piercing red eyes. It's very well done, all things considered. If you were crazy and or stupid enough to own 3 of these things, like I do, you might want to show which one's the leader of the bunch, yeah? Well, you're in luck, considering that Refraktor's first accessory is the Bioscale Compression Rotor, also known as Viewfinder's belly button. You can place this piece's kin on the other 2 Refraktor boy butts for the twin Spectro and Spyglass action. As for ordnance, Refraktor comes with the EMM Distortion Blaster, a fat fuck of a hand cannon that looks like if Smith & Wesson was his service provider. For Viewfinder, I like to fold away his hand and undersling the gun, while on Spectro and Spyglass I just have him hold it separately. Finally, on the defensive is the HPR Telefocal Shield, a riot shield as large as his torso. Wait a second, surveillance alternate mode? Riot shield? Massive weapons? Are we sure Refraktor's not Chinese? Since these 3 figures are all the exact same, I'm only going to be talking about the poseability of one of them, because it'll, of course, be the same as the other 2. And Refraktor here is not that unposable. He's pretty standard, and he exceeds in some areas, which I'll get to shortly. Starting at the head, he technically has a ball-jointed head, but its only real main use is going round and around, and it's a little hard to move, partially from the tightness of the joint, and partially how round his little cap is, so it's a little hard to get a grip, but you should be fine. He can look up and down just a little bit, but it's not much. Mostly if you're going to make him look up, you're just going to use the transformation joint, which is pretty cool. If you want him to look down, he's going to look into his own chest and cry like a little bitch. At the arms, he has a swivel joint that goes all the way around 360 degrees forward and backwards, and a very strange outward joint that's just a little too low to look natural, which kind of makes me feel weird. He has a bicep swivel that goes all the way around, and he has a double jointed elbow for his 3rd mode, which I'll get to shortly as well, but this means that Refraktor gets as much of a curl as possible, which is an A++++, though I am going to have to take points for just the sheer kind of unnatural looking feeling of these joints. I mean, look at this. It looks like his bicep is completely separate from his forearm, like it's just floating in air. Of course, if you joint it just right, you can make it look a little more natural, but it still doesn't look quite right. It's kind of uncanny. And finally, he has a reverse butterfly joint, which means that he can puff out his chest and be like, come on, bro. Come at me, bro. Come on, bro. Come at me. He has a waist swivel that goes all the way around 360 degrees, which is very nice, though it is there for transformation, which puts a damper on things. He has a nice swivel joint that goes forward and backwards all the way for his legs. It can be a little loose, but, you know, you can work with it. It's not that floppy, I say, as it's kind of floppy. Pay no attention to me, I'm just kind of stupid. He can go all the way out, so he can scrape his taint wherever he damn well pleases. He has a thigh swivel that goes all the way around, and a knee joint which only goes 90 degrees. After the success of the elbow, I'm kind of disappointed. Though, the plus down here is that it actually looks natural as opposed to the elbows. So, you win some, you lose some. In Refraktor's case, he loses quite a lot, but most of that's not from his articulation. Finally, at the feet, he has two joints. He has a toe tappy joint that's there for the transformation. It's not really that useful in poses because it's a little loose, at least on this copy. Some of the others down here might be a little tighter, but it also doesn't create a flat surface that's really usable for standing poses. Also, his toe can't go up for walking poses, which is a shame, but he has a ankle pivot that is very deep, and that means he can stand while breaking his own legs. I quite enjoy how deep the ankle pivots in Siege have been, for the most part. So, yeah, Refraktor, he's pretty good. He's very poseable. You can get him to do pretty much just about anything, except for a couple things dealing with his feet, but if you have a flight stand like me, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And, yeah, Refraktor, pretty damn good.
Refraktor has one last trick up his sleeve, and it requires 3 copies of the figure. What you have to do is fold the robot mode into a cube like he's a Mugenroid in triplicate, and smack them together. From there, combine the 3 boomsticks as well as the 3 shields to form a tripod and a zoom lens, respectively. Now, you'll see the sole reason why anybody wanted this figure to begin with. The first ever standalone mainline Refraktor figure. And it turns into a camera! Hot damn. Honestly, now that I have it combined in front of me, it's not that impressive. It doesn't even particularly look like a camera once you look past the accessories. I do have to admit, though, that the accessories splitting up to form armaments is genius. Or at least it would be if several third-party companies hadn't already played with that idea. Either way, it's still pretty cool that the figures can do this. With that big old camera lens, I wonder what he's taking a picture of. I think I'd have been happier just buying the Reconnaissance Team 3-pack of Refraktor. All 3 figures are individually colored, and the added accessories really help to sell the camera mode as convincing. As it is, the retail Siege Refraktor is worth passing up on, unless you're really committed to this version. What makes things worse is you need 3 of this figure to have any sort of fun with it, otherwise you'll be stuck with an alternate mode that makes Soundwave look well thought out, and a robot mode that really doesn't excite me. So pick your poison or just sit it out. If you like this review, please share it and subscribe. I'd like to hit 200 subscribers by the end of the year. This has been Katastrophe. Transform and roll out.